Welcome to Untold Stories of Everyday Lives, where we tell the story of people you never heard of. Today I have my grandmother, Maria Talavera, known as Maria McDevitt. Um, I want to start off about your childhood. Tell me what that was like growing up and, where life started in Mexico before you came to the United States.
Well, I was only 3 months old when I crossed the border with my mom and my sister and my stepdad. And he was in the Air Force. He was a pilot, navigator. And we crossed the border. And then later on, we got visas and we became whatever we became. But we had an extraordinary life that he gave us, my sister and I. We moved around because, like I said, he was in the Air Force, and it was great. And then I had my real father that was a border guard that taught me a lot about border guarding with people crossing the border with drugs and, and stuff that I never knew about until he showed me all kinds of good stuff and taught me how to, be careful in life.
So, tell me a little bit about how your mother met your father, which
My stepdad.
your stepdad, um, and then explain a little bit about your real dad, about kind of the things that he got into, and what you saw in Mexico when you were with him.
Well, my mom met my stepdad with a good friend of hers. They're working at a courier shop, and my mother's best friend had a date with a gringo in the Air Force, and she didn't want to go by herself because she didn't know this guy. So she asked my mom to go with her, and when he met her, he fell in love with her right away. My mom didn't really like him, but she had an opportunity to get out of Mexico with her kids, so she took it, and she grew to love him, and he was the best stepdad ever. Now, my other dad, my real dad, was in the border guard, and he taught me a lot of, what he was getting people busted, gringos busted for marijuana, and used to show me pictures of all the marijuana he busted and turned around and sold it to, I guess, another gringo. So that was another. I mean, I had a really great life between the two of my fathers that I appreciate now that I, knew. But other than that, my mom had a hard time. She didn't speak English, and my dad didn't speak Spanish. But it was like the show Lucia Ball. I hated her, but that was how my mom grew and I grew up, because my mom didn't know any English, and we had a lot of trouble with my mom saying the wrong things at the wrong time, using different words that she thought it was correct, which incorrect. It wasn't correct. So, yeah.
And then, growing up, I've heard a lot of, and, unfortunately, I didn't get to meet my great grandmother, but, there's a lot of stories about the mental disease that she faced, and kind of the things that she put you and your sister through, which caused a big gap between you guys. I mean,
Yes.
what were some of those things that mostly impacted your childhood when you got to the United States, and the things that kind of separated you and your sister? What were those things?
Well, because she used to put us against each other. Like, I was always the ugly one. I never was going to be beautiful. In other words, my sister was the beautiful one. She was always had brand new things, brand new makeup. I always had me hand-me-downs, and I could never amount to anything because I was too ugly. And that really destroyed my oomph as growing up, because I never thought I was going to amount to anything. But growing up, trying to tell my sister that we were against each other because of my mother, it never worked because she believed my mom and not me. So it was harder. We never had a relationship. To this day, my sister's dead, and I still would never have a relationship because of my mom. And that made me kind of hate my mom, but I kind of knew how my mom was raised because she was raised just the same way that my grandmother gave her brother away to some Oriental people for money, and then she gave her sister away to the carnival people. So when they found each other, she was in the carnival, my aunt, and my mother found her accidentally. She was pretending to be a spider woman, that she was half spider and half woman, but they found each other, but never the same way as we were. They never were able to be together as sisters because of my grandmother too, put against each other. My mother was the rich one, and my aunt had to work 3 jobs to support 6 kids. So that was harder on my aunt because every time we went to Mexico, my mom would just brag about all the money she had. And but my stepdad always gave my aunt everything she needed. Groceries, he went to the base and got groceries for them and bought them all kinds of stuff. So they wasn't totally, poor. They were healthy because my aunt did work 3 jobs and put all her kids through college. So that was the best thing ever happened to them. But as sisters, my mom looked for her brother for over 20 years. She went to Mexico every time she could get a hold of them and never did find her brother and died not finding her brother. So that was real hard on my mom when she died. So
Yeah. And that sort of grief, pain, and trauma that follows down not just from your generation, but into my generation of our family as well. I mean, the way that your mother raised you, and then the way that you raised my mother, and then my aunts as well, and hopefully the way that I raise my kids eventually someday. I mean, hopefully we can take away a little bit of that trauma at small points in time. So.
it's funny how mental disease really took a hold of our family because my grandmother was totally really insane. She did what she did with my mother and her sister, just like my mother did to me and my sister, except really my mother never grew up to have anything. She had one dress and a pair of shoes, and that's all she had growing up until she met my real father and had 2 kids, and then left him for my, stepdad. But the mental, it still haunts me because I see my grandkids have that mental issue sometimes with, how they think and how they're raised. I wish my daughter would have been able to be raised a lot better, but she was totally my mother and my grandmother. I could see them in her so much that now I'm happy that my grandkids are able to go over and above the mental issues that we have. And that what makes me great over my Sky and my granddaughter, that they're doing good.
Well, I appreciate that, Grandma. Thank you. I love you.
I love you.
So, growing up, your dad or your stepdad, and for the people who don't understand, my grandmother was a lot closer to her stepdad. So when she refers to her dad, she's talking about the American that her mom
Gringo.
met her, the gringo. Um, just for clarification. So your dad, he was in the Air Force and he did a lot of things that, were classified that,
Top secret.
and it just kind of explains some of the things that you saw. And because I know there was a point in time where my grandmother moved to Africa as a child where she met her first husband. And so go through everything that you saw in
Well,
Africa.
well, first of all, my stepdad, was doing all kinds of top secrets that we didn't know. We had, like I told Sky before, we had a phone that was a red phone and a regular phone. And if the red phone rang, my dad had his uniform, flying uniform, and he put it on and took off, and we would not see him sometimes for a month or so. Then we got orders to go to Africa, which was I was going to go buy a monkey and I was going to see a tiger and I was going to go do all this stuff. But then I realized that it wasn't South Africa, it was North Africa, Tripoli, Libya, which my dad was in charge of teaching Gaddafi how to fly. And the army and the Air Force of Libya to teach them how to, and that was very difficult because there's so many trouble with the Libyan Air Force against, the Air Force of the United States, which my dad was not allowed to talk to, but I did hear all kinds of stuff that went on, which, secret things that I don't remember, but I know there are, bad things because of things that happened to Gaddafi that my dad I heard him say that the Air Force did. And I know that some things I shouldn't be saying, but it's the truth. I don't have nothing to hide. But after what they did to Gaddafi, and Gaddafi started doing bad things to us, poison our water. We didn't have water for almost a couple months. We didn't have food. We had to eat cereal with boll weevils in it because we didn't have the food. And we couldn't go downtown. You could hear the gunshots every day and people screaming. And my girlfriend and I used to go and hide and try to go off base. And the last time I went off base, we saw a guy's head hanging by his tongue on a hanger like you hang meat, So that was when we said, oh, I guess it was not too good to go anymore downtown. So, yeah, but it was really, my dad had a heart attack because of all the things that went on. And we were the last people to leave Africa. I remember my dad being in the Medicaid plane, and we're going off, and all of a sudden you hear the gunshots trying to shoot us down, and Chappie James was there, and my dad had to lay on the ground, and we had to lay on the ground of the airplane so we didn't get shot at, and that stuff that we were not supposed to know about. So that was kind of great to know, but I traveled everywhere in Africa, and that's one of the things that I am very proud of, that my dad did show me all kinds of places: Spain or Germany, France, Italy, Malta, everywhere that my dad took us. I got to appreciate the cultures of what we knew. And I teach my kids and I taught my grandkids to be proud of being in America, because we are free and we are knowing that we can talk the way we can about our future or about our past.
So, and what year was that? What year was that?
67, 68, 69, and 70. We left Africa 70, 70, the late 70s. So
now there's a very important person that you haven't mentioned yet.
What?
That you met in Africa.
Oh. My ex-husband, Stephen.
So, because there's quite a few stories with you guys in Africa.
Oh yeah.
go into a little bit about that.
Okay.
And
I was 13 when I met Steve. He was my soulmate. He is my soulmate. Sorry to say that. And we had a lot of things that we did in Africa that we got in a lot of trouble. There was 6 of us that we hanged out. We have my best friend that was named Patricia that lives in Florida now. I try to talk to her every once in a while. I went to live with her in Key West. But going back to Steve, we did a lot of stuff that we weren't supposed to do. We got stuck in a submarine that we went in there, and he shut the hatch on me, and and we had to call the MPs, the police, to get me out. And that's when, we started the bad things that we did. But he was my soulmate. He had his first Harley. He's the one that taught me how to change the oil on his Harley. And he crashed it going over the cliff, thinking that he was going to go back and not go over the cliff and stop before he went over the cliff, but he didn't. And he watched his new motorcycle Harley down the pits in the ocean. And he was hanging by a tree. And so we had to call the AMPs again to get him out. So, we had a lot of things. My dad also bought me a horse there that we used to go horseback riding. I had a lot of bad experience, too, with my best friend named Sandy and Patricia, that she had attacked by her father. So we called the MPs that we knew, and they beat him up. And she had to go to Germany to mental ward because she was mentally, suicidal when she was 14 years old. She was the same age as I was. So, but I got to see everywhere that I went to. Like I said, I went to Italy, Germany, and I bought a lot of stuff for my dad that I still have. Belongs to now Sky, and I'm very proud of what my dad taught me. And I always am grateful for my dad. I think he was more of a dad, but then my real dad was also my real father, and I loved him after the fact that I didn't like him for a long time because I didn't want to become a Mexican. All I remember was I asked my dad for Christmas to have my eyes blue and my skin like his skin and red hair. And it never happened, but I guess I could have dyed it red, But other than that, I teach Sky that, life can be hard, but you also have opportunities here that people don't have back, in Africa. Or even like I had my daughter Tessa in England, and I remember having her in England that you had to get coins to heat up the house, and you just appreciate more of things that you need to understand of life.
And so you left Africa for a while.
Yes.
And where did you go after that?
Unfortunately, my mom had to come to Vegas one more time to gamble, and we were supposed to move to Switzerland. We had everything packed, and they're sending everything to Switzerland. My sister and I were supposed to be going to border school, and that all came to hell because my mother decided to buy a house in Vegas, and here we are in Vegas still 50-some years later. And my dad died here, my mom died here, and I have, my sister died here too. I have a niece, Natalie. We don't talk hardly at all, but that's life, That's something that my mom and her mom did to us, and I did to us too, because I should have been a better person, but I can't be a better person with what happened. So I won't say anything other than that. I
That's
can't.
fine.
I can't.
Now years went by. How many years went by before you saw Steve again? And
About 3 years.
so tell because
And yes, I was in love with Steve so much that I have a diary that all it said, I gave it to my daughters. All it said was, I haven't heard from Steve. I haven't heard from Steve. And 3 years later, I got an invitation to a wedding, which his sister married somebody. I can't remember their name or anything, but their son, well, he was not at the Watergate, but it happened during the Watergate, and the wedding was top notch. I mean, it was like unbelievable. And that's when I saw Steve again. And when I asked his parents where he was coming directly toward me and his parents, and he came to me and he just looked at me and he says, "I love you, marry me." And I said, "Yes."
and
And
there was several men who proposed to you before that.
yes,
Before
about 5.
and you denied all of them because you knew you were certain you were going to see Steve
Yes.
again. And
I could never marry anybody until I saw Steve again, because I wanted to make sure that if I did see Steve, I wasn't going to cheat on my husband if I married anybody else. But I saw him, and I heard a lot of people. I heard a lot of guys, Larry and his brothers, that they hitchhiked back from the wedding because I told them that I saw Steve and I was going to marry him, and they told me, okay, and they hitchhiked back home, and I hurt them really bad. To this day, they won't talk to me. I wish they would, but one day, I guess, I can't help it. So we got married. He went through all this. He doesn't believe in God, but he went through church to marry me in church, Catholic. I had the most beautiful wedding, but strange thing happened that our receptionist, which it was at my mom's house, a bunch of bees all of a sudden came in through the fireplace, and my aunts were all start crying because they all said that Steve was going to turn out to be bad, which I found out after the marriage that he was in the Navy and he was a paratrooper, and he got caught and he became a junkie, and I didn't know that these.
And for people to understand this this was the time of Vietnam, so he
Yes.
was stationed to go to Vietnam.
He was one of the last people that go to Vietnam. Supposedly, that's what his parents said, but he got caught in an ambush or something. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he did get caught, and they started doing all the drugs that they had because they knew they were gonna die, but they got escaped and they got rescued, but he became a junkie. So that was the end of that. And later on, he totally destroyed our life. My best friend destroyed it too, because she was a junkie, and I caught them doing drugs, and I tried to leave Steve, but he caught me and tied me, and I couldn't do anything for a year. He had me stuck in the house, in a trailer. We lived in a trailer, and one time he caught me going to church, and he beat the crap out of me in church. Nobody stopped it. So that was the end of Steve. And then I met my, I guess, sex partner that was the best sex ever, I guess I should say. I had my daughter Lena, and he begged me to marry him when he got divorced. But when I found out he was married, I wasn't. I told him he had to do it himself. and I guess he stayed with his wife for long other times. And I realized one time that my daughter Alina was playing with her own sisters, and they didn't even know they were sisters, and that really hurt me. But that's when I met my husband now, or my ex-husband now, Patrick. That I can't really say certain things, but I had my best friend knew him, and he was buying his first Harley, and I just had my daughter, and my roommate helped him buy his first motorcycle, which was a Sportster, which men don't have Sportsters. They're for women. So he didn't really like me, and I didn't really like him. But turned out that 3 weeks later, he moved in with me, and we've been together, or kind of together, for 47 years. So we're still kind of together, as we say. I still live with him after the fact that when my grandson got hit by the train, we all moved in back with him, and we've been there. I've been with him since. So,
And my grandfather, and to clarify as well, so Alina is my mother, which means Pat, who is my grandfather, who's been in my life all my life.
he adopted her.
He's not biologically my grandfather, but for these terms, just consider that he is my grandfather. He's been in my life. I never met my mother's real father, and he didn't want too much to do with my mother as well. But so anytime I say my grandfather, Pat's my grandfather, and we'll continue from there, because my grandmother had two more kids, which are my aunts. So she had Alina, my mother, Tessa, and Jana, which are my aunts, and coincidentally enough, is he was also in the Air Force, just like your father.
Yes.
And you guys traveled a lot more.
Mm-hmm. We moved to England, where I had Tessa. She's a dual citizen. She has really, if she wanted, she has 3 different kind of citizenship: Mexican, English, and American. When we got her passport, it was American and Mexican passport. It was pretty neat that, we had a kid that, had 2 different kind of passports. Yeah. So.
And then, what, because England was a crazy time for you guys.
Yes.
Party central. You guys partied a lot.
Yes. We got busted there. We smoked a lot of hash, which we were good people. But, back then, there wasn't allowed to do any kind of drugs. We went to Amsterdam quite a few times and loved Amsterdam. And I think that's where Tessa got to see, I guess, in my belly that she liked tulips, because she loves tulips now. So that was really strange, but I loved England. England was another place that I would go back to in a heartbeat, because I met a lot of great people. I did a lot of antique shopping, and I bought a lot of antiques. I used all our savings, but we made a lot of money when we got back here, because I sold half of my antiques. But I got still some of my antiques that I've given my daughters. Jana, my youngest one, is the only one that likes antiques. Tessa, forget it. She don't like anything old. She likes the new shit. You know how that goes.
Yeah.
Bushy, I guess I should say.
Now, also there was that, explain how you got busted.
Well,
because that's a whole story in itself.
Oh, well.
And that's the reason why you guys moved back to Vegas, right?
Yes. We had supposedly our friend that hanged out with us for almost 4 years, even got the same tattoo as Patrick. There's like 6 guys, 5 Americans, and 1 English guy got the same tattoos on their ass. And it's called American Perverts Club, and it had the American flag and the British flag with a big old dragon holding up the 2 flags. So that was you got that in London, and we made good friends. But this guy was a narc for 4 years. He came and babysit the kids, our kids. He came to stay with us and turned out to be the biggest narc. We were 47 of us were busted. Yeah, in England. All our friends. And so when we found out we were busted, of course, I found out I was pregnant with my youngest one, and they took us to Vegas and dropped us off, and here we are. So,
and then when you got to Vegas, you mentioned several times in the past that you were one of the first women to become
no.
a dog catcher.
Well, we're the third one. I was
woman.
the third one that got hired as a dog catcher or attended clinic, animal shelter. And that was, I wish I would have still, because that was what my dream was, to become a veterinarian. So, yes, I love becoming a dog catcher. But once again, I left it, and I became a housewife, I guess. And
but that didn't stop there. I mean, you still got stories and stories.
Well,
I mean,
from all kinds of other stuff that happened to me. I don't know, it was like aliens. I worked for a detective that got thrown out of New York because he was kind of on the borderline of being crooked and not crooked. But I love working with him. He showed me pictures of, he was the only one that really got to take pictures of Area 51 that nobody ever took pictures in, probably, long time. And he had parties with all these movie stars, and his wife, Joanne Military, I love her, and I wish I could find her. I found out I had a tumor in my head, and she's a homeopathic kind of doctor. So for almost a year and a half, 2 years, I would have to go to her house and do all kinds of meditation and do all this medicine that she gave me, not the doctors, because she didn't believe in doctors. And it took me 2 years to finally had my tumor in a golf ball size. And now my tumor's gone. And I'm finding out my across the street neighbor it was because I took the Depo-Provera shot for birth control. And I should have, my doctor always told me, you got to take it a year, 2 years, and then quit for a year. Well, for 35 years I took it. And that what gave me the tumor. And my friend, like I said, across the street she took the same shot, and she has tumors all in her head and in her breast. And yeah, she's going through courts to get money from that because of the Depo-Provera shot, which I'm starting to do that too. I have to find my paperwork because it was bad news. So, yep. And then I met Tina, which my daughter's best friend, that she introduced me to an alien and a fallen angel, that we went to the temple, and he was trying to find his ship or whatever you want to call it. And she would say she was trying to walk into the temple, and she goes, no, I can't go to the temple inside. And she's like, yeah, you can. And so she tried, and it just bounced her right over. So, and we just got in touch with her that she just had a baby 9 years ago now. He's 9 years old, and she's going to try to come. She's a Russian, and she's going to try to see us again. That would be really neat. But yep, I've had a really exciting life here in Vegas too. So I had good friends and, enemies, but in all, I've had a fantastic life that I love to talk about to my grandkids and share the things that I shouldn't be talking about, but oh well, I'm gonna die pretty soon, so what the hell not,
Let's take a technical break real quick and get back to you. So let's run it back a little bit. You said you knew a guy, the private investigator,
Yes.
right? The detective, you said,
Yes.
and he was one of the only people to get into Area 51 and take pictures. Now, explain how you met him, how you started working with him, and kind of what led up into that.
They were in the newspaper, an assistant, a receptionist, and so I went to the job, and I was kind of scared because it was at 8 o'clock at night. Who wants to hire somebody at 8 o'clock at night? I'm like, so when I went to his house, it was like a fortress. You had to knock, you had to ring the bell, then you had to go into this other room, then you had to ring another bell, and you had to go in this other room, and then it opened up, like turned around. It was really trippy. So I got the job, and I learned a lot from him. We did a lot of things that we had this one guy, Dr. Evans, that made the machine to cure AIDS. And it cured AIDS. It cured I can't remember this movie star's name. There's a couple of them that they did the machine with them, and they fixed their hands. They had really bad arthritis in their hands. I remember that we went to parties and they were showing us how good the machine was. And the day, the FDA tried to bust Dr. Evans, and it would happen to be that his wife, Frank's wife, Joanne, was in the federal building, and she overheard the CIA, or wherever you want to call them, saying that they were going to go bust some Dr. Evans. So she calls me, and we got Dr. Evans out of his house and the machine out, and we hit him, and we finally made him that he went to England and got a lot of stuff done with the machine in England that, is nobody talks about, but you can say it's the truth or the lie, but we can't say anything else because, was the truth that I knew, but, there's a lot of things that I saw in my life that I know I shouldn't talk about, but like I said before, I'm 71 years old. Who gives a shit anymore about what I know anymore? You know what I mean? Unless my friends want to talk. Like I even told Sky that I could have one of my friends, Patricia, that we knew in Africa, that she would be willing to talk about what we did in Africa. I'm sure she would love to say what we did. So, yeah.
I mean, and whether people choose to believe what you've been through or not, I mean, that's not the point of this. This is here to talk about your life, your story, which is just an incredible, and it's extraordinary in many ways that I felt the will to bring this to life, to share it.
But in other words, though, Sky, you got to understand too, the stuff that I grew up with and was not supposed to talk about, we have to be careful and saying stuff, because I don't know, still to this day, I know that my dad was teaching Gaddafi. I had pictures of my dad and him, but again, how much is that going to affect me, which I don't care, but it might affect you guys.
Yeah.
Because you got to understand, Gaddafi was a dickhead, or I shouldn't say it like that, but he was very mean later on in life. And they did destroy him. They did bomb. They killed his kids. I babysit his kids. And I have pictures of his kids, but once again, they're all gone. and I can't prove it, but I know in my heart, and I know in my well, my sister can't even prove it because she's dead too. But
But you know, besides the point, I mean, you've went through so much and you've overcome a lot. I mean, you know, for 71 years, I mean, you filled your life to the brim with as much as you can. I mean, you made it through a car accident, breaking your back, learning how to walk again, and surgeries. I mean, you've had almost every surgery you can have: hip, knee, shoulder, thumb,
yeah,
back. You know, it's
teeth.
there's a sense of admiration in that because I mean, it doesn't it's not easy to wake up every single day after everything you go through, especially in the times when you're hurting or you're in pain, and you keep going. That's not easy for a lot of people to do. You know,
But you gotta. It's like I teach you, and look at you. You have become the greatest, my hero, because I look at you with one leg, and it teaches me that my pain is nothing compared to what you went through in life. I mean, I look at you and I just see the hero that you are. And you are a hero because look what you become. You have become the the best handsome person in my life. And
I appreciate that.
And look, you have one leg, but look, you don't give up. Just like I teach you and I taught you that your life is your life.
I thank you, Grandma.
And
so, moving past the private investigator and the Dr. Evans and stuff like that, you were raising 3 kids, right? And what was going on in your time around that? Because I know that at some point you lived next door to your mom, right?
yeah,
And that was traumatic in its own way, not for you, but also for my mother. She was pregnant with me.
but your grandmother loved your mom. As as much as she was on drugs, your mom was, I mean, she would do anything for me. She, even in surgeries, she would come in surgery higher than a kite and would sleep on the ground and wouldn't leave my sight. And it was, it started when she got raped. And I think that's when she started doing drugs because she didn't understand.
What age was she?
She was
the first time?
about 14 years old.
But before that, there was one more time where you and Papa.
No, that was when 14.
Oh, that was 14.
14 years old. Because I remember that we called the police right away, and we took her to the hospital. The ambulance did, and that's when the doctor told us that she would never have kids again. Yeah, that's what we said. She had 2 kids, but and that was the pride of my joy because you guys remind me of your mom so much that.
But she was also. This was by a family member, right?
No, not when she was raped.
Or was there some
She was molested by my cousin, my favorite cousin, and
that was much, much younger.
No, that was after.
It was after.
It was after.
Wow. Okay.
It was after, because when she got raped the first time, 3 Mexicans. Sorry to say that, but got a beer bottle and broke it and shoved her in. She had to stay 2 weeks in the hospital because they had to sew her inside and did damage to her. And that's, when it all started. I think that's when she couldn't realize that she became gay because she got. And I never thought she was gay, but she was gay to her eyes. So I don't care. Like I teach my kids again, it doesn't matter what you are, as long as you believe in yourself her being gay taught me a lot. And I remember the times that she would come home and she'd tell me, "Oh, Mom, you got to try this year." I'm like, no, 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 no. I like men, But she taught me a lot. And I felt I have guilt. Don't get me wrong. I have so much guilt that I didn't do enough for your mom. But I know I did. And I wish I could have done more. I should have put her in an institution like her therapist told me to do. But then I look at that way and I tell you guys, I would have put her in an institution, but what would have that done to our relationship if I went to go see her every month in an institution? She would not love me. She would not probably want to see me. So it was like they say, hard and not hard. Which way to go, you don't know. Life, throws you in, that's why life has to be ups and downs. You cannot be perfect on nothing. And, I'm proud of my kids. I'm proud of my grandkids. I'm proud of myself to teach my kids that nothing can stop you from believing in yourself and believing in your mom, especially in your mom that's been dead 7, 8 years almost, that I know if she could have, she would have changed. But drugs had a hold of her too much. But she gave you the best love that she could. And that's the most important that I want to tell anybody, that no matter how mentally disturbed you are, they do love you in their own way. Just like the person that just killed their parents. He loved his parents and he knew what he did to his parents. But again, mentally, illness is the number one sickness that we have in the world. And if we could stop that, we would be great, but we can't. Because God, or whoever you want to believe, can't be all perfect. We can't.
No, I agree.
I've done bad things in my life that I won't mention. I've done things that I wish I could regret and be better grandmother. But I'm trying to be a bit better person now. But again, I don't know how many times mentally illness would get in every family. There is somebody that has mentally disturbed things in their life. I don't care what kind of family you have, how much money you have, how much poor you are. You always will have somebody that is not right. And we all have to acknowledge that nobody wants to acknowledge, but we have to in life.
Yeah. And my mom took her own life back in 2018, and at the time I was 14 years old. Some people they can't look at life that way though. They go through these things, and not everybody has the ability to push themselves to do more than what they're doing to fix what problems are in their life.
Like you. And like your sister, even though your sister's kind of nutty sometimes, but, it's just like my other two daughters, Tessa and Jana. They see Jana is the one that took it harder when your mom committed suicide. She loved your mom so much. But, it's hard. Mental illness, to me, is the number one thing that I wish we could fix in all of us, but we can't. It's not meant to be perfect.
And we're all a little mentally unstable at times. I agree. I've had my moments too.
We all have.
In what ways did, mental illness not only impact your life, but also your parenting as well. How when you look back at it, because you said there's things that you regret. I mean, I know you weren't a great parent, even though you're a great grandma. I know that there's things that you wish you could have done. How do you think that impacted you as a parent, and what you wish you could have done better? You know, things that I can take in when I become a parent one day. You know.
Just teach your kid that you're beautiful. That's the biggest thing. Teach your kids that you are great, no matter how ugly you are, how much you look like a spaz. You are great. Because my mother never taught me that. My mother, if it wasn't for Steve, and it's so funny because Steve was the only one that stood up to my mother, that when we were getting married, my mom would go, "God, you look ugly in this dress, in my wedding dress." And after the fact, Steve would tell my mom, "No, she's not ugly. She's beautiful." And he was the only one that really actually put up with my mom and told her where to go. Nobody else did. Nobody else would ever tell my mom where to go.
Yeah. Um, so there's also other major tragedies in your life that I think that we haven't touched a lot because, there was the time you crashed your car, you broke your back. Um,
My dog saved my life. My pit
how
bull.
now tell me, what were you doing leading up to that moment? What was life like, and how did you recover from that moment?
Well, I left my husband, my Patrick, and I moved to Arizona with my daughter. And I was coming home. Everybody was thinking that I was coming home to come home, but I wasn't. I was coming home so I could get my other stuff and move back to Arizona. And that's when I found out supposedly I had a flat tire. It wasn't a flat tire. I come to find out that there was a guy that was shooting at cars in Arizona, in Flagstaff to be exact, and come to find out that it was a gunshot that I was in, and I thought I had a flat tire. It rolled my car over into a ditch. Well, I had a little tiny car. You couldn't see my car because it was a big ditch, and my car again was small. And my pit bull was the one that saved my life. She broke the windshield. It was already cracked, but she kept hitting the windshield, and she hit it so much that she got it all broken. She went on the freeway and tried to stop people, and when nobody wanted to stop for her, because you see a dog all bloody, her whole head was bloody, and it was a pit bull. And finally, this guy finally realized there was something wrong. So he turned around and stopped and found me. I was upside down. I had a broken back. I had over 10 stitches on my head. And I lost all my teeth because I hit the steering wheel and the airbag didn't go off. And then I found out that Patrick did not get my insurance like I told him I needed insurance on my car before I went back to Vegas. He didn't get it, and it's terrible to say, but I still have a warrant for my address in Arizona for it because I didn't have insurance, and they still probably want me. It's been over 25 years. 20 years, something like that. But
why would they arrest you for that though?
Because I didn't have insurance. I got a ticket for not having insurance and stuff like that. And of course, it was two or three tickets for not having insurance. And supposedly I had to, roll my car over. And that was another. Yeah, I didn't appear in court, but I didn't want to because I had a broken back. And Tessa and your papa went and got me from the hospital. And that was a funny thing because when they told Patrick that I got in a car accident, he drove almost all the way to the Flagstaff drunker than shit, and the police stopped him, and they knew he was drunk, but they took him to the hospital to see me to make sure that he was not lying. And the police guy goes, boy, talked to Tessa and said, boy, you're lucky that it was really happened, because your dad was saying that he was, your mom was in a car accident. So, but then I was there for like a week, 2 weeks, and then I came home, and it took me a long 2 years almost to walk. I had a brace. I had to wear a brace for almost a year and a half. And so, yeah, I didn't do a lot.
Just that you, in a sense, you did though,
Yeah, I went to school. I didn't want to go to law school, but I went to become a paralegal. I did, but I really wanted to go back to become a veterinarian or a dog catcher, which I never, but I have dogs, so I guess I do have some kind of degree in dogs.
Yeah. And, 25 years ago, that's just a couple years before I was even born.
Yes. No, you were born already. You were born already, so it must have been like 20 years
20
ago,
years?
because you're like about a year and a half.
Yeah, so it would be 20 years if I'm coming up. I'm 22, or I'm going to be 23 this year. So
yeah, because I remember I had to find a babysitter for you, and a good friend of mine babysat you when I hardly could walk, and your mom tried to get you, but we wouldn't let her.
And, coming up years later, do you think that those moments still impact your life physically? Do you think that they impaired you in any ways, or were you able to really push yourself to get back to the best physical condition?
No. I should have pushed myself more, but I pushed myself to get an education, a better education, and I did push myself to walk faster than they couldn't believe that I did walk faster, that I did do better in walking, but I should have pushed myself more, that I should have was able to do what I wanted to do. I wasn't able to walk like I wanted to walk, like go climbing and, do stuff like I used to do, horseback riding. I never finished to do any of that. I still could do horseback riding, and I make myself walk. Like if I went somewhere with my daughters or somewhere with you guys, like I tell you guys, I'll walk until it hurts, and then I'll do my drugs to be better, because nothing's gonna, heal me. It's already too late. And so if I can't do and walk when I want to walk and be better, and I know it's gonna hurt later on, but suffering is not all you need. You need to do stupid things for yourself.
Right.
Yeah. Like you. I watch you walk, and I watch you sometimes hurt when you walk, and you're my hero, because I know I'm a pussy on walking sometimes, because I make myself a pussy. Tessa would take me somewhere, or Jana would take me somewhere, and I say, oh, I'm tired again, and they would say, okay, let's stop. They shouldn't say that. They say, come on, you stupid shit, do the walking. Okay, because what is it gonna? It's not gonna do me no good. Wherever I want to go, I'm gonna have to walk, regardless. So why not walk and suffer, but be happy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I get it. I absolutely get it. I hate walking too, but
you gotta.
It's a part of the day. It's a part of your daily life. And
exactly.
I get it done, and I do it. Now, there's one moment I want to touch on a little bit, because we briefly talked about it, but you didn't go into details. It's about the fallen angel and the alien.
My pollinator.
Because this was the most recent experience out of all the stories. This only happened what, 5 or 7 years ago?
7 years ago.
7 years
Yeah,
ago.
Tina. She used to
And
tell Tina. Nobody believes us. She, even Tessa and Janet didn't believe us until Tina told the story to them, and then now they believe the story. But when I always say something about a spirit, or Tessa don't like anything to do about the spiritual world. I try to teach my kids magic because, hey, regardless of what they want to think about it, we are, I should say, witches. My mom was a witch, my grandmother was a witch, my aunt was a witch, and they taught me magic every time I went to Mexico. When I was young, 4, 5, 6 years old, they would teach me magic. And I know, Tessa, don't believe in it, don't believe in spirits. And I know that you sometimes have trouble believing in spirits because your mom hasn't come to you. But your mom comes to me and comes to your papa all the time.
yeah.
She scares the shit out of your papa all the time. Walking in the bathroom and thinking it's me and it's not, it's her. So, or she'll drink all his booze, the tequila bottles, and put water in it. And then 5 years later, they're going to have a toast for Uncle Tim and Alina. And they have a toast and it's water, not tequila.
Yeah.
So,
but walk me through that experience.
On what?
The
fallen angel?
Yeah.
Well, Tina called me up 2:00 in the morning asking me, hey, you got to get up. I got these clients that want to go see the temple. And he is supposedly an alien and he's trying to find a ship somewhere, and they wanted to go to Area 51, which we did not take them. And they begged me, and I said, no, I don't go to that place. But yeah, he was kind of weird because they went out to the desert. We went out to the temple. Excuse me. And he went out there and started saying all kinds of stuff and putting his hands up. And then the fallen angel, she just, she said she was a fallen angel. And, I kind of didn't, I believe in fallen angels. I believe in spirits. I've seen so much in my life I believe in the devil. I believe in the evilness that we have in us. And I see it. I have seen it. My aunt has shown me the things of that could happen to us if we don't watch ourselves. Because whatever we need to believe in some kind of God or us or anything but, because evil is here and it is winning. No matter what we think, it is winning. We have so many things that are going on with shootings, and the fallen angel even told me that it's going to get worse. And she told me, she goes, you got to start praying a lot more. You got to start believing in and teaching your kids and teaching anybody that they hear of you to believe in something better, because evil is winning. You can see it every day. Homeless. I believe in, there's homeless people that like the money for their tequila or their beer or whatever, or their drugs. But there's homeless people that I know for a fact that lost their jobs. Without a job, you can't have a house. Without a house, you can't have a job. And they live out in the streets, and they're better off in the streets because they don't have nothing to look about themselves. That we don't need to make the money so we can pay the bills, and we have $5 left over for food for our kids. No.
Yeah.
It's,
and there's taken a lot of evil in this world to open up a lot of people's eyes, and I know that there's things going on that we don't know about behind closed doors, that the government won't let us know about, or especially about overseas with the Israel Palestine. I don't want to get political because it's not
Yeah.
my stance. I'm not a very political person, but yeah, there's lots of evil going on. Now you're at this temple, which is, I'd say, a 45-minute drive out from the strip. It's in this desert. It's a little temple. It's a shrine for one of the goddesses. For
Skemic.
Yes, and she represents fertility, and so you bring these people, these people to the temple, and what goes on?
Well, like I said, he's out in the middle of the desert trying to get he was making some kind of form on the ground. I don't remember what it was, but it was some circle, and he was getting trees or bushes and making some kind of weird things, and he was talking to above, and he told me that he wanted to come back to Vegas. And I said, well, you've come back. I'll take you halfway to Area 51, but I wouldn't go there because there's always guns, right? I mean, you can't even go very far without the Army or the Air Force stopping you, saying you got to turn around with the guns in your face. So, no, I don't, but I know. I believe in aliens. I've seen aliens. My dad taught me, and he told me about what he saw when he used to fly planes, the weird things that he said that he saw, that he could not mention to me. What I wish he would told me more about the aliens that he did see. But once again, he had to sign the disclosure because he was in the Air Force. And, there's so many things that the Air Force and the, government don't want to say, but it's coming out, and it's going to come out because they're coming regardless of what we want to say. The aliens are coming, and they're already here. We got the star kids. They're born, and I really feel that they're half alien and half human because they're too smart. They have a secret place that the alien kids are growing up, and they're geniuses. My great-granddaughter and my great-grandson are smarter. My great-grandson is autistic, but he's not autistic in the way that we all say. I think he's a star baby. And I think my great-granddaughter, is a star baby too, because she is too smart for her britches. And I think, I've seen things that women have actually said that the aliens took their kids out of their stomach. And one of the ladies said that they've seen her kid at 9 years old or 7 years old, whatever, and she's half alien and she's only got to see her like 2 or 3 times. And that's been a proven fact that, everybody knows that there's things out there that we're not supposed to know about, but damn well that there is, that we're here. They're here, we are here, and they're mixing our bloods. It's like my daughter, Alina. She was the only one in my family, our family, and so is her daughter, has Rh negative. Now, nobody else has Rh negative except for her and her daughter. And I found out later on that there's a village in Italy. There's like 15,000, 20,000 people that live there, and every one of the women are Rh negative.
Wow.
Now, what is that? Okay. If that don't show you something, what is it?
Well, I think that it's been nice to hear out everything that you've been through, and I'm sure there's even more to it than what we can even present in person or talk about in just an hour or so. Or, thank you for coming and telling the world about what you've been through, what you've experienced, the things that you've seen. Because I know that they've always been things that I love to hear, and I ask about them all the time. And you tell me and repeat yourself all the time. It's the same story. It's a consistent story every single time. It's never freaking changed. And so I do appreciate you taking the time to come out and tell the world the things that you've been through. And I know that as somebody you look up to, you're someone I look up to as well. You know, you might not be the most sober person or the most sane person, but
no, I've done my share of drugs, which my 70th birthday party was, I told my kids, I'm going to do every drug I can find because I'm a no person. Who wants to, I've never in my life had a birthday party.
Right.
That was the very first birthday party. And I told everybody that I was going to do every drug that I could find. And I did, and I had a good time. Now, I can't say I'm totally sober, but I'm sober to the point that I want to be sober.
Yeah. So, thank you, Grandma.
Thank you.
I appreciate you.
I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for having me.
No problem.
Okay.
All right. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.